Welcome. So I want to go over why I think you should be starting a SaaS business if you want to start a business at all. Because if you want to commit to not going the traditional route and getting a normal job, right? If you want to do money and make money online with your own business, the main reason why I think, and I want to give you several ones, but the main reason why I think you should be starting a SaaS business is because owning a business, running a business, scaling it, selling it takes a lot of work, and most people fail. Like 99.9% of the business fail. And so my point here is that if you want to commit to going through this road, right, through this path that's filled with holes, bridges, rivers, crocodiles, right, instead of the traditional one, which is a bit safer, right? If you want to commit with going to this one, right, you might as well commit to the highest ROI activity or type of business there is, which is software. And I want to go over inside my computer here why that is, give you a couple of reasons why you should be doing it. But again, the main one is because if you've decided to commit to entrepreneurship and own your own business, might as well go for the type of business that is the highest ROI one. So not SMMA, not dropshipping, not e-commerce, but software, SaaS, software as a service. So let's break it down. Okay, so we're here. So why starting a SaaS business is the best decision you'll ever make in your life. Again, taking into account that you are here, right, and you've already decided to go through this path, right? This is the entrepreneurship business route. This is the classic one, right? Get a job. Nothing wrong with this, right? This is fine, right? This is fine. But if you've made the decision, and if you're watching this video, most likely want to own your business, right? If you've decided to go through this path, here's why you should go with SaaS, not anything else. And so the very first reason is recurring revenue, right? SaaS, software as a service, you are making 10K this month, 5K this month. You know that next month, right, if these subscribers don't cancel, so if your churn rate is low, you'll most likely make the same amount of money next month. So it's predictable, right? The revenue is predictable, okay? With e-commerce, for example, you never know if you get like X amount of orders of a book, right, this month. You don't necessarily know if you're going to get the same amount of orders next month, right? Because it's not recurring. Now, granted, there's some e-commerce platforms or brands where they hook you up with a subscription, whether that's for skincare, food, right? There's some of them, but most of them aren't subscription-based. And you'll notice, though, that a lot of brands nowadays are introducing recurring revenue models into their physical product brands because they know how valuable that is, okay? So first things first, recurring revenue, because again, SaaS, recurring revenue, MRR, monthly recurring revenue, is inherent to SaaS. So that's the very first reason, just predictability, right? You know you're making them this much this month, you'll make them this month, the next month, more or less the same, right? Of course, there's churn and people cancel, but that's with any business. Now, second thing is high gross margins. And the thing about SaaS is it's magical stuff, magical. It's just numbers, zeros and ones. It's just code, right? It's just code. There's no product costs with e-commerce. I don't know, around 30% goes to product costs. With an agency, right, you have to pay personnel, so people to do the actual job. There's a lot of costs in running an agency, dropshipping, e-commerce, right? With SaaS, right, when the platform is built out, once the code is done, right, it is done, right? There's no really recurring costs. There's no really like a lot of costs with it. Of course, there's server costs. If you're running ads, of course, there's ad costs, but ads, and there's for any business, right? You can run ads to an e-commerce store. But in terms of costs associated directly with a SaaS business, they're very low. So server costs, if you have an AI SaaS, of course, API costs for these AI platforms. I mean, API costs don't necessarily have to do just with AI, but nowadays they do, most of them. But yeah, API costs, there's a bunch of these like technical stuff that will cost you dollars, but it's very small, right, compared to other types of businesses. Because again, it's online. Nothing is physical. It's all digital. That's a good thing about this, right? All digital stuff. So high gross margins. You can go 80 to 90% margins with your SaaS, and you don't see this in any other business, right? Whether that's service-based industries, physical products, you don't see as high of the margins as with SaaS. SaaS has the highest gross margins in any industry, okay? Then third is scalability, right? With an agency, for example, you can only take as many clients as you have time for, right? Then you have to hire more people. So your team grows, right? You have this huge team taking on all these clients. So you have to grow the team. You have to grow your costs. With SaaS, having 10 clients, right, isn't necessarily more expensive than having 100, right? Yes, of course, I mean, the server costs will be a bit higher, but they won't be sufficient to account for the fact that if you have an agency, right, going from 10 clients to 100 clients, your costs will skyrocket because you need more people, more processes, right? With SaaS, I mean, having 10 clients, 100 clients, 1,000 clients, your costs won't skyrocket that much. Of course, they will increase, but not as much. There's a comparison there. So scalability, easier to scale, right? Or not easier to scale necessarily, right? It is as hard to scale a SaaS as an SMMA, as a e-commerce store. I think all the businesses are hard, but in terms of the scaling costs, they are much more friendly in the SaaS ecosystem. Then customer retention, right? With SaaS, you can get people on a monthly plan to upgrade to a yearly plan. You can get people on a solo or basic subscription to upgrade to a business subscription. So this inherent customer retention, whether that's from monthly to yearly, bi-yearly, or a plan to another plan, is inherent to the business model of software as a service. In e-commerce, don't really have that. In social media marketing agencies, you can have that, but it's a bit harder, right? Because the pricings you're already charging are quite high. So the customer retention and the ways you can use and the leverage you can pull for retention of the customers are much more in the SaaS space. Now, by the way, I'm going over these quite fast. If you want to break down all these like in detail, check the resources in the description. So there's a free course there, 100% for free. Check it out because I go over these in a much more detail on how to increase your margins, how to increase your MRR, all this stuff later on in the description. Sorry. Second to last one, global reach. Now, this is of course something that you can do with an agency, but for example, think e-commerce, right? E-commerce, if my business is in the UK, for example, right? I produce in China, right? I send them to the UK warehouse, right? And then I have to send them and be able to send them at a profitable way to all around the world. And different carriers, different places, different taxations, different, like maybe they're further away. Like there's a huge complexity, into making a global business for a physical product. It's insane. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. That's why you see a lot of brands here starting just in the UK and then expanding to US, or starting just in the US and then expanding to UK or throughout Europe, right? So you start localized and then you expand. With software, you don't necessarily need to be localized. You can just target the whole world because again, it's imaginary stuff. It's zeros and ones. It's all digital stuff. So that's another advantage of this. And finally, the last one, which is exit multiples, which is the most important one here in my opinion. So let's say your SaaS makes 10K in MRR. MRR stands for monthly recurring revenue, right? That's 120K a year in ARR. That's annual recurring revenue, right? With a SaaS, you can get minimum 3 to 8x multiples, okay? So that's a lot of money. With an agency, you would never be able to get these multiples. And the reason why these multiples are so high in SaaS is because of all this stuff, right? It's predictable revenue. Someone acquiring the business, they know that most likely if they keep things as is, right, the business will make the same money, right? Because with software, people depend on a software to work, right? If you're a B2B software, a business-to-business software, right, your clients won't churn just like that, right? With e-commerce, right, people buy a product, like I said before, they buy a product today, right? Your ARR can be, or your annual revenue could be 10 million, right? But you don't know if people will buy the same product next year. There's a lot of uncertainty. And the good thing about SaaS, I'm not saying that there isn't uncertainty with SaaS. There is uncertainty, right? But there's more certainty than in terms of revenue, right, than all the other business or all the other types of businesses. That's why it's one of the reasons why the exit multiples, right, are so high. And you can check, you can go to acquire.com and see their biannual report. They give you like a list of the SaaS businesses that were acquired. And the multiples range from this, right? 3 to 8, even 10, 15, 20, depending on the scale, right? Another reason being is because the margins are high, right? If the margins are high, people are like buyers will pay you high multiples, right? And then scalability, retention, all this stuff, right? All these things combined, plus some more, right, make SaaS businesses very attractive for the people that own them because, again, revenue is predictable, high margins, they make a lot of money, right? And people wanting to acquire them, right? Because it's such a good business, a stable business with a lot of money, specifically if it's B2B, right? The multiples can be even higher because B2B is much more predictable. Let's say, for example, you sell a CRM to plumbers, right? If you sell it to 100 plumbers and all these plumbers are using your CRM, and they like it, the likelihood of them churning, the likelihood of them like stop paying for the software is super, super low because they lose all the data, right? They'll have to find a new CRM. There's such a high friction level of canceling the subscription, right? That the churn in B2B tends to be super, super low. And this is good because, again, someone acquiring your business has this in mind, of course, right? They feel and understand the predictability of the revenue, right? That most likely these people won't cancel. That's why, again, the multiples are so high. So exit multiples are very high. And that's why, again, if you've chosen this path, the entrepreneurship path, right? If you've chosen to, I guess, hurt yourself and put yourself in pain, and just like Elon Musk says, right? Entrepreneurship is like looking into the abyss while eating a glass bowl, right? If you've chosen to go through this path, you might as well go through it and use and leverage the business type, I guess, which is SaaS, which gives you the highest return on your investment, both in terms of time and effort. So yeah, that's it. Like, subscribe, check the links in the description, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.